There must be a reason why HS Strut is America's favorite brand of turkey hunting calls and accessories, and this must be it. 15 new products this year, including the Wood Witch glass and composite friction call, the Palmer Hoot Tube, the ultimate owl locator call, the Undertaker choke tube for consistent shotgun patterns again and again, the two-way strut seat, impossible terrain has never been so comfortable, and 5 new instructional videos from the HS Strut University, including So You Want to Be a Turkey Hunter, the definitive source for new and beginning turkey hunters, and 4 additional comprehensive video courses complete with call that go in-depth on friction calls, mouth calls, locator calls, and box calls. Look inside your favorite hunting magazine for this flyer coming soon from HS Strut, America's favorite brand of turkey hunting calls and accessories.
To me, turkey hunting is such a one-on-one sport where you're putting your skills and knowledge and calling ability against a wild animal.
It's me outsmarting that old gobbler. It's me communicating with it. It's me getting him in the gun range. It's me getting him in with an archery range.
It's time with friends and family. In the springtime when the birds are gobbling, the excitement of the hunt and calling, communicating with the wild birds.
He's still out there in the distance and you trying to, persuade him to come on in. It's just excitement level.
It's very exciting to go challenge a bird one-on-one and talk to him and make him come to see what you're talking about.
Each time you go out, it's a new learning experience, and there's always that hype and that excitement that only the wild turkey can bring.
It's just a one-on-one contact. It's fun.
All of those things add up to just a great time in the outdoors and great memories.
A friction call is just what it says. It's friction. It's 2 different pieces of material rubbing against each other to create friction that produces the sound of the wild turkey.
You know, the oldest type turkey call that's made today is probably the box call. Slate and glass style are probably right there behind it. Very popular. The tone's built right into those calls. A little bit of practice with rhythm, and you can sound like any wild hen out there in the woods.
What really, I think, separates a friction call for, say, than a mouth call, you got more of a pure turkey sound.
They're real easy to use, they have a realistic sound, and there's a wide variety of different models to acquire different sounds. So yeah, they're very, very popular, and they work extremely well in the turkey woods.
Basically what you have with the friction call, and this is the Black Widow call, is a pan with a glass surface and a carbon striker with a wooden bell on top. And basically what you do is you strike this surface of the carbon striker on the glass surface of the pan, and that produces friction.
First of all, you have the plain surface, which on this particular call is glass, just like plain window glass. It's laid in a pan. This is like a resonator. If you look at a guitar, I mean, this is like the back piece of a guitar.
The pan is actually what holds the call or gives the call the volume. It holds the sound. And by the size the volume holds actually controls the sound. What kind of sound is going to be made or how loud the sound will be.
I can put it down in the palm of my hand and it's going to tone that call down. So if I want maximum volume out of it, I'm going to hold it with just the tips of my finger right around the very outside of the call.
The striker is very intricate too. This is a carbon rod with a bell at the end, but if this didn't have the bell in the end, it wouldn't collect any of the vibrations. So what it does, it sends all the vibrations that are collected on the striker part up through the bell, and that's what creates the noise. It's actually a very intricate musical instrument.
I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put the pot of the call in my left hand. It's going to be something like this. And I'm going to use my lanyard connector as an indicator. I'm going to turn it directly away from me. Then I'm going to sand my call from left to right.
I want to rough that surface up because what I call it is getting traction. I want that striker to have something to grip onto and make that sound and that friction. So it comes with a piece of sandpaper, and I'm just going to rough it up. Then I'll use it as my call. I'll put that striker on. And that way, when I pull that striker across them sand marks, it's actually grabbing a hold, and it's got something to make that sound come off of the glass.
Then I'm going to drag my striker across the grain the way I sanded it. Therefore, I've created friction. Now, if I sand it the same direction I'm using the call, it will not be as consistent in sound. So sand it the opposite direction your way you're dragging the striker. And I will drag the striker tilted at about a 15 to 30 degree angle and pull the striker to me to produce the yelp.
I look at the top end of my peg up here, and if we're looking at the hands of the clock, here's 12 o'clock straight up and down. I like to turn it at 1:30 and about 15 degree angle, move it away from my body in about a 15 degree angle, put it on the surface, and I like to go in a counterclock motion and never pick up the peg. That's the key factor, never pick up the peg.
What happens to the call when you hold the striker wrong is that you cannot be consistent in making sound. Holding the call flat, it will not make hardly noise at all. By turning the striker to the edge 15 to 30 degrees, I've got sound now.
To do the basic yelp on the call, I'm going to take that striker, set it against the surface. Once I've got the striker on the surface, it actually never has to leave the playing surface. And I'm just going to make a long oval to make the yelp.
On the Black Widow here, it shows you where to make the short yelp. I'm holding it in my middle finger, index finger, and thumb. I'm using nothing but my fingers to do this in a circle motion. By moving in a circle motion, I'm using friction against the glass and the striker, which produces a sound. It sounds something like this.
And you'll notice that the only sound I'm getting is when I come on the stroke that's going down. As I'm going up, I always want to keep that striker angle the same. I don't want to roll it back and forth, or I'm going to get sound going both ways, and I only want that yelp on the downstroke of my striker.
Also, within any friction call, on the edge of the call, you will have a higher note. In the middle of the call will be raspier. Listen as I drag the striker across the call. On the edge will be high, in the middle will be raspy, back to the edge. So this is going to sound like you hear the high rasp back to high? That's within any friction call.
If you hen yelp on the side of this, move your striker to the center and make your circle larger, becomes a gobbler yelp. It's just more rhythm than anything else. And it's deeper on the inside. Here's the outside again. Now link. It becomes a gobbler yelp. So it's not as high pitched as on the edge.
Less pressure, slower rhythm. I can get a tree call, moving up to the tree call position. Remember, more pressure, more volume, but also higher the note. Less pressure, lower volume, raspier sounding.
The cluck is probably the next sound that you want to make. And again, once I put that striker down, I never have to leave the surface. And all I'm going to do is set it down on there, and I'm going to pull it back at me very sharp.
Now to do the cluck and purr, I'm going to skip and drag. Sounds real, doesn't it?
The purr is probably one of the most difficult calls to make on a slate, but once you figure it out, it's really simple. Most people hold that striker down too close to the bottom. All I'm going to do is slide my fingers up a little bit because I want this striker to vibrate. When I pull it down across that surface, you're going to see the striker actually vibrate. And I'll set it down, and I'm just going to slide the striker on the call. Now, if I held it down too low, I'm not going to be able to get that vibration. And I just get it sliding, and I don't get the vibration that I need out of my striker. So I slide my fingers up, and it starts to vibrate real easy.
Another neat thing about this style call is that It comes with a carbon striker, high pitch, waterproof. But just by changing strikers, like to the magic wand, or to a hickory peg, you have 3 different sounds. And what that can imitate is 3 different hens, or maybe you go out there in your turkey hunt and you hear a hen yelp, and it sounds just like the call that you have in your pocket with a hickory striker. It's important to carry a variety of different strikers with you to the turkey woods. Wild turkeys have a very extensive vocabulary that they use to communicate on a daily basis, and it could mean tons of different things, from the sexual aspects of a turkey's life to the flock aspects of a turkey's life to alarm sounds and many different things.
Before they ever even hatch out of the egg, you know, the old hen will sit on that nest and she'll start imprinting to those young birds in the eggshell. And those chicks will they'll start peeping and come. When they come out of that eggshell, that hen calls to them. Communication is vital to their life and their survival.
At some parts of the country, turkeys are very vocal, like again in the Midwest in the springtime of the year, and the concentration of turkeys in specific woodlots or wooded areas is generally higher than where I live in the Northeast, where you won't hear as many gobblers on a specific tract of ground.
The gobble is a sound that the male or the tom emits to attract hens and also let other turkeys know that he's in the area, and that he's just vocalizing, telling the whole world that he's the dude out there that day.
They're telling all the other gobblers, hey, shut up, I'm the boss over here. And all of a sudden another turkey gobbles, no, you shut up. Then they start this pecking order thing, they fight for dominance. As days progress and the weather progresses, gets warmer and days get longer, the hens start calling. Now he's gobbling to lure the hens to him. The reason the hen yelps is communication, it's a contact call. I mean, there's different types of yelps. And when they yelp with different types of excitement. You know, a subtle yelp is, if it's a contact call, she just first walked in there to that gobbler, she's saying, hey, I'm here. I'm coming to you. But if she gets excited, she's showing excitement.
One of the things to remember whenever you're making the basic yelp of a wild turkey is that each turkey sounds a little bit different, just like my voice, I'm sure, sounds a little bit different than yours. So when you're making those calls and you're listening to that yelp, all right, realize when you're using it, if you have the basic principle of that call down, it'll work for you.
Cutting is an excitement call made by all turkeys. All turkeys meaning the gobbler and the hen. Gobblers will do it a lot in the fall. But when we're talking about the hen doing it, she's been dominant. She's showing aggression. She's showing excitement.
The other basic call of the wild turkey, again, would be the cluck. And a cluck is used for a lot of different things. It's a single note. And what that is, that could be general conversation as other turkeys are around them, and they're just keeping peace amongst each other as they're walking through the woods, scratching, looking for food. A simple cluck is peaceful and relaxing, and it just means contentment. But put a little more feeling into that, and then you'll see all of a sudden the heads will pop up and they're looking for danger.
A purr is both a feeding call and also a sound of contentment. In the fall of the year, it's a great call to use in hunting because when wild turkeys visually see each other, they purr. But the purr is just a soft, vibrating sound that all turkeys make, and especially in again, in feeding or in short-range communications.
The beginning hunter, the basic things that he or she would need to know is how to duplicate the yelp, the cluck, and probably the purr. The 3 most important to me.
If I had to go to the turkey woods tomorrow and have 3 calls to use, or 3 vocalizations, they would be the yelp, and I'd know how to do it a couple different ways, either very soft and very loud. Learn how to control the volume. That's more important than anything. The cluck, which is that general communication call, just letting that turkey know where I'm at as he's approaching, and the purr, which is that contentment feeding style call.
If you can cut and yelp, basically that's all you need to kill turkeys.
All the research done on different types of friction calls, glass has been one that has played and made the sounds of the wild turkey as good as most any surface available. What I have here is the black widow call, and the black widow call, what makes it unique is this. It actually has different striker paths on the call. By following those different patterns, you can make all the different sounds of the wild turkey on them.
This call is very high-pitched. It is a glass surface with an acrylic sounding board that really gives off high frequencies at the high pitches, and you can really get the low pitches in the middle.
This is the call for the beginner right here, the Black Widow.
The Wood Witch is one of the newest calls to the HS Strut family, consisting of a wooden pan just like a musical instrument, but it's made out of a special composite wood that will not let weather affect it.
And the neat thing about it, the stinger stick that goes along with it has a built-in angle, and you can lay that call on there and you already got the striker at the right angle.
Another call that Hunter Specialties makes is the copper pot call. This call is probably one of the most effective calls that I've ever used, especially to reach out long distance calling to that old wild turkey gobbler. This call with the copper pot around it has such range and high frequency and pitch that'll penetrate some of the deepest areas of your hunting woods.
What I like about the copper pot is, one, it's glass, it's waterproof, and two, is the realism you can get out of this call. Check this out. High pitch, high frequency, a lot of volume. A great call for windy days, or days that you can't hear very good.
The triple glass is like our old reliable turkey call. It's been around for a long time. It's got 3 layers of glass in it, and it resonates just extraordinarily well. Good for long range cutting. It'll really carry out there a long ways. Or soft in yelping.
Another glass call that Hunter Specialties makes is the Little Deuce call. The Little Deuce call is just that. It's a very small, round, circular type glass call. This call is really authentic and makes a lot of sounds of the hen turkey. Again, it has a glass surface, and that glass really gives a high-pitched sound. You can make all the calls of the hen turkey on the Little Deuce glass call.
Moving over to the slate surface, one of the big differences is slate is a little bit more forgiving, and it's still high pitched, and you still go from high to low. It's just a little bit more mellow in tone.
The slate is most preferred by people that like to do a lot of clucking and purring. Not saying that the glass call is not a good cluck and purring call, but the slate, you've seen what, to me, in my opinion, I can get better realistic clucks and purrs.
The Little Deuce 2 will be the first slate call we talk about, and in this call it's that small in size call with big sound and very mellow in tone. But you can still get that high to raspy sound.
A lot of the turkeys you see harvested on our new videos are harvested with the Little Deuce 2. You know, a lot of guys prefer slate. A lot of guys prefer glass. But my favorite is a Little Deuce 2 because of the slate. I can get realistic clucks and purrs out of this call.
The Grand National slate over glass is, again, it's a mellow sounding call. The best thing that I think this call is for is tree calls and clucks and purrs. Tree call is just unbelievable. Sounds just like that hen waking up in the morning, and this soft clucks and purrs that you can get out of this call. Are just incredible.
It comes with an acrylic striker, which is pretty unique because with this call and that acrylic striker, you can actually hunt in the pouring down rain. We'll put a little water on this call right here. That would be a real heavy water downpour right there, floating in water. There's not too many calls will allow you to do that.
The super raspy slate, this call is a little bit different than most. Normally you see the holes on the bottom of the pan where the sound comes out. Well, this one's, they're built into the slate, and they're actually on the playing surface. And I'm using an acrylic striker on this, which is a very soft material against a slate, so it's going to be a little bit deeper and softer type of call.
Now this call, you can make all the different sounds that you can with any other slate, but if you put your thumb or finger over one of the holes, it'll make some great soft tree calls.
And if you're doing a lot of close-in calling, this is a great call to use. You can really tone down your sounds with this call.
If you're looking for a call that kind of does it all, it's waterproof, it's got a high frequency that will penetrate into the deepest woods, the Black Magic call would be the one you would choose. This call has a non-glare finish on it, a black coating on the striking surface. Most aluminum calls have a bright shiny surface on it. This call does not. This call comes with the Magic Wand, which is a rosewood peg and also a carbon tip striker.
The aluminum surface coupled with the acrylic pan and sounding board makes this call very high-pitched and very realistic. And very loud. But you can also, again, get very soft with pressure control. Black Magic is an excellent call for long-range locating, too, like standing on a ridge and trying to get a turkey to gobble midday.
Another neat thing about this call is it's maintenance free. You don't have to sand it.
With all these combinations, it makes it a real deadly call.
The Magic Wand striker, which comes with the Black Magic call, is really unique. It's a rosewood striker with a carbon tip, and it's going to be really neat for making high-pitched and piercing calls.
And it can really help you on any friction call, whether it's aluminum, glass, or slate. It brings the life out of the call. It's absolutely the best striker that's on the market today.
And I highly recommend for the beginner caller, if you get a, let's say in a Black Magic aluminum type call, if you try a rosewood peg on it, you're going to get one sound. If you try a carbon, like the Magic Wand peg on it, you're going to get another sound. And that's good, and that's to your advantage, because if they're not gobbling for one call, just switch the pegs. You don't necessarily have to switch the whole call, just switch the peg. And just by switching the peg, you're going to give a whole new sound out to that gobbler, and that might just be the sound he's looking for.
One thing to remember with this style of call also is that they are completely waterproof. And if you use a carbon striker or an acrylic striker, it'll work in any weather condition. Where wood will not work in the rain, but as long as you have a carbon or acrylic, you're in great shape.
A great way to carry your friction calls in your turkey vest is to actually put them in the mini pouch, and it keeps them from rattling around, banging against other things, and it also keeps them from moving around in your vest and making that playing surface smooth again, so you can just pull your call out and you don't have to worry about having to rough it up every time. And it also keeps your strikers organized. You know exactly where they are. You just reach in your pocket, pull it out, and you've got them right there handy.
Locator calls are pretty much designed to resemble something that is either an enemy or a threat to the wild turkey gobbler, such as a crow, an owl, or even another gobbler himself, or maybe even a red-tailed hawk.
The reason you should have a good locator call or an owl call is because it's one of the greatest calls out there to make that turkey give up his presence.
This is a barred owl call called the Palmer Hoot Tube from Hunter Specialties. It's a great sound. It's a natural sound of the barred owl that you use to locate turkey gobblers in the spring of the year.
The single note that a barred owl makes, and you hear it a lot in the woods, and it's very natural, is just very short breath of air, and you can end it with a roll by rolling your tongue. Sounds something like this.
Other locator calls out there that you can use as a turkey hunter, depending on the terrain, the area that you're in, what other kind of wildlife is there as well, is the gobble call, a one-headed shaker gobble call, a hawk call, a crow call, even a duck or a goose call make turkeys gobble.
Now listen, and again, I'm just blowing on the crow call pretty loud, just trying to shock that response out of that gobbler.
Very rarely do you hear an old dominant gobbler not respond to another challenging gobble by another gobbler that's subdominant to him. By using this call, he thinks there's another gobbler sounding off in his area, and he'll usually gobble back at it.
Another great locator call maybe that you haven't tried and somebody else hasn't tried in your area. Later on in the morning is the sound of a red-tailed hawk. It's very high and shrill, and our little hawk call is very easy to use. And when a red-tailed hawk scrawls or screams, you can just hear it, meow, and that's exactly what you want to do into this call, and it's just blowing a little bit of air.
That might work when nothing else works. You know, you might come in there and hit a bird. If you know a bird's in the air, you might hit him with that hawk call, and you might just trigger him off to, you know, make him gobble.
The box call is probably one of the oldest type turkey calls on the market today. It has very deep roots in turkey hunting history.
And I really think that they're real popular because they sound like turkeys. And anyone can use them. They're real easy to use. They have a great sound. They sound real in the woods.
A lot of people harvest a lot of bird with the box call. And the reason behind this, if you'll walk out at 100 yards and listen to that box, a lot of people think it's more realistic than the other call that's been made.
Diaphragm turkey calls is probably one of the best inventions for the turkey hunter to ever come along. Reason being, it's kind of like candy. It's in your mouth and not in your hands, which cuts down a lot of the movement, and that's what the wild turkey picks up on.
With the new designs and the new cuts in the calls, the realism is there. Years ago, we had a single reed, one single layer of latex, or a double reed was the big new thing. And those are basically clear calls, and a lot of turkeys sound clear. But with the cuts and the designs and the calls now, you can achieve so many more different types of sounds.
And that's how you produce the yelp.
I think it's a must for every turkey hunter to learn to be able to use a mouth call a little bit.
A turkey hunter can literally sound like a whole flock of turkeys out there if they need to in a given situation.
Think about it this way. If you was building a house and you left out some of the procedures, how good of a house would you have? Same way with turkey hunting. You know, it's like going to battle. The more calls you have, the better your chances are going to be because it's different sounds of different turkeys. The more versatile you are, you're better prepared.
Now that you have viewed this volume of the HS Strut University, you can go even further in depth into a variety of turkey hunting subjects through the other volumes from HS Strut University. Volume 1, So You Want to Be a Turkey Hunter, is the definitive guide for beginning turkey hunters, new turkey hunters, or seasoned veterans looking for a refresher course. So You Want to Be a Turkey Hunter features the insight of the HS Strut Pro staff as they draw from a combined 150 years of turkey hunting experience. Nowhere will you find a more complete guide to turkey hunting than Volume 1, So You Want to Be a Turkey Hunter. Volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5 are combo packs that include a video and an HS Strut turkey call. Each video includes exclusive footage you won't find on any other tape and features in-depth instruction from the HS Strut Pro staff on how to get the most out of that call. Volume 2, Box Calling 101, includes a natural field champion box call and a 30-minute video detailing the types of box calls, how to get a variety of sounds from a box call, and why the box call has been the turkey call of choice for generations of turkey hunters. Volume 3, Mouth Calling 101, is a complete 30-minute course on how to select, use, and master the versatile mouth call. Mouth Calling 101 includes 3 HS Strut Premium Flex diaphragm mouth calls. Volume 4, Friction Calling 101, reviews the many types of friction calls available, the numerous materials used in friction calls, when they work best, and how to get realistic turkey sounds from any friction call made today. This 30-minute tape includes the HS Strut Black Widow Glass Friction Call. Volume 5, Locator Calling 101, gives you an in-depth look at the correct calls to use to locate turkeys from sunrise to sunset. Locator Calling 101 includes 30 minutes of instruction on all locator calls and comes with HS Strut's new Palmer Hoot tube. No matter what your level of experience, the HS Strut University gives you the advantage of 150 years of turkey hunting insight. The HS Strut University, higher education for turkey hunters. And for real turkey hunting excitement, look for the Cuttin' and Struttin' series of hunting videos from HS Strut. HS Strut hunting videos pride themselves on non-stop hunting action from all parts of the country, loaded with tips and tactics that apply to turkey hunters everywhere. The Cuttin' and Struttin' series of videos from HS Strut. It's as real as it gets.